Okay, so this demo is in conjunction with the 3 Object project. You'll have a handout now describing what objects to use for this. We're going to be sculpting 3 objects that are in front of you. So I'm going to use this bottle of Goo Gone. And I want to make it either smaller or larger, but I want to make it in proportion. So not to scale, but in proportion. So it'll look like exactly like this, except smaller or larger. Don't worry about the printing. I don't want any printing, no logos, just the shape, okay, and the textures and stuff. So how do I do that? So I'm going to measure this bottle of Goo Gone. By the way, the more mundane your objects, the better. Just stuff in your pockets, you know, key like this, starting my car. This is really interesting. I wouldn't worry about the lock signs on there or the Toyota insignia. Just the buttons themselves, and look at how the buttons are recessed in here. So I'm not just drawing them on there. I'm going to make this as if I was making it out of plastic, but I'm going to make it in clay. This would be a fun one to do too. But anyway, let me just do the bottle of Goo Gone because it's a little bigger, you can see. So it's already kind of big. I want to stay, I don't want to get huge on these things. I want to stay kind of in this ballpark, I guess, you know. Don't go too small or too big, just change the size. So the bottle of Goo Gone is that tall. And the bottle of Goo Gone is, let's see here, about this wide. My finger's out of the way. So it's about that wide and about that tall. So that's about 2.5 times tall as it is wide. So 2.5 times. So tall than wide. Okay. So here's a piece of clay. And best way to form the clay is to kind of just beat it. And let's see. So I can take some of this off a little bit later. I haven't done the width yet, just or the depth. I've just done this. So let's say, you know, I'm just going to worry about this part. Sorry, let's do it this way. I'll forget about this top part, and I'll just go up to here. So it's that tall by, sorry, that tall by that wide. So now it's almost like half, maybe a little bit taller than half. So I'm going to go kind of eyeball this. So now this is shorter, right? And you can see it's shorter. I'm making a smaller bottle. So too wide. I can tell it's too wide already. So I'm going to go. So I'm kind of eyeballing it, but now I can measure. So now I have, it's that tall on there by that wide. I'm actually in the ballpark. That actually looks pretty good. You can see the proportions are about the same. Yeah? So, but this way is way too thick if you look at this dimension. So now I gotta get this one down. So why don't I go like this? It's this wide by that depth, and that's about less than a half, but over a third. So, less than a half, but over a third. So if it's that wide, so less than a half over a third would be right about here. So I'm going to mark that, just kind of a ballpark figure. So you can see I made a little mark there. And I can take my wire tool, probably to be easiest. I mean, you can do it any number of ways. I could keep beating on it and just, I can make it thinner. I could either cut it like this. Let me just go ahead and do that. Again, I'm just getting the ballpark. That's close enough for right now. So you can see I cut along there. So now the thickness is getting close. The other way I could do it, it's still a little bit too thick. So what I'm going to do is just make it a little bit taller and thin it out a little bit. I want to keep that width the same. And now I'm going to cut it down. I forgot. Let's see. Again, we have it that tall, which is that wide, so it's about half. So if it's that wide, so half that tall will be right about here. So I'm going to cut it off right here. So I stretched it out, and I'm going to cut it off this direction. Right here. Okay. Now, but I'm still not done sort of working with it. This is kind of in proportion, just the bottle part. I'll add the top part later. Just a little bit wide. But you see I'm using the table to start shaping it. Now if we look at this, look at the shape in the bottom. It's like this football shape. And it's all, the whole thing is constant curve. Well, I can still use the table rather than trying to carve that out. I can use the table. So I can beat this. I can beat this here. I can even take a board. A board's going to even be my better friend on this one. So I'm taking away the corner a little bit. So beading is a really interesting way of shaping. So I can work on this a lot longer, but you can see I'm starting to get in the ballpark now. I'm starting to get that shape. And you see out here, the shoulders right up here, it's sloped. It's a very gentle slope. So I can do that too. So now I'm getting in the ballpark here. Let's see out here. It's clay. You can add clay. It's malleable. My grids, here we go. This can help. I tend not to use very much water when I'm working on stuff. It tends to make the clay get slimy and not that workable. Anyway, so we're getting kind of in the ballpark here. It's a little bit too wide still. It's close. Okay, so that's how I do that. The top part, again, I'll use the table. I'm gonna, well, I should measure this. So the whole thing is that wide, and the lid is about not quite 1/2. So it's this wide, not quite 1/2, will be right about there. Now again, I can spend time on this. I recommend spending about 1 hour on each object, depending on how complicated the object is. So obviously it's 2. I'm going to cut a knife. I just roll it. It's raised up a little too, so I need to add a little collar here. I don't want to spend too much of your time. I'm just showing you this easy ways of getting this thing. I probably want to score and slip this on. Too much clay. There actually is an easier way of doing this, but oh well. Flattening it out a little bit. Put this on, I can score and slip it on and work it in a little bit, and then this can go on top of it. So now it's kind of starting to look, it's starting to get in there. I just have to spend more time on it. Now, I don't know if you can see in here, I'm gonna bring this in closer. There's a ridge, there's ridges in here on up here. There's really cool texture. And I wanna kind of get that texture. I don't wanna do any printing of the writing on the top, but I wanna get that texture. And the way I would do that, a lot of people when they do it, they just sort of like, they'll just draw it in, but it's not drawn in. They're actually, it doesn't look like that. It's actually ridges. So what I could do is I could use the sharp side of this maybe. I can make stamps. I stamp it in. Or even the needle tool can make nice stamps, really fine stamp. I'll do a little bit and then bring it over to the camera and show you. So you're really kind of making the bottle. You're not representing it like making it, like if I was doing my key here with these buttons here, I wouldn't take it, let's say, let's pretend I did it, I'm doing that one, and I'm just gonna eyeball it, so it's about like making a bigger one. I wouldn't just go like this, oh, let's see, there's a button there, so I'm gonna draw it in. I see a lot of that crap. I don't want that. What you do is, well, it's actually recessed, so I can actually take some clay out. And I'll just do a little bit here. And then I'll actually put a button back in there. So I make a hole, and then I'll put a button that's about the right shape. I'll add that in. So it's actually as if I was making it. Again, I'd spend more time on this. But you know, so I inlay a button. I make it, but I make whatever I see I make, okay? Again, no writing, no logos, no insignias, just the object itself, okay? Either smaller or larger, but in proportion. And you'll want to wrap these up. We're going to do something with these. We're going to, just so you know, we're going to make a sculpture out of these and combine them. So if you get really attached to one of these, make a fourth one so you can keep the other one separate. But I just want 3, and then we're going to mess with these next time. And because we are going to mess with them, it is essential that you cover them up right away. Don't let them dry out. They can get a little bit set up, but not a lot set up, okay? If they're dried out, we can't do anything with next time. So please, please wrap them up. Nothing hollow, so if I want to do a cup, for instance, I do the whole cup solid. Nothing too thin, so if I want, this is all going to be on the assignment, on the written part, but I'm just covering it now. You can fudge in this dimension. Nothing thinner than a 1/2 inch. So I make a bigger key and make it a 1/2 inch thick. But I want to get these textures in there, okay? So don't do glasses. Rings don't work. Maybe just the gem on the ring, you do a big one like that, but things like that. So again, the more mundane, the more fun it is. Okay, I think that's good. I will see you next time.